Good morning, students. Today, we are going to discuss the questions and answers of the third chapter of history, the first phase of Indian national movement. You know that this year some topics from the syllabus is reduced. But from this chapter, no topics are removed and you have to follow the syllabus given in the textbook as it is. Some questions in the exercise are not related to the prescribed syllabus, but its answers are given that is in a different color. So those answers given in the different color is to be avoided, but the remaining answers you must write and learn. Now let's move to the questions and answers. Which period of national movement is known as the period of early nationalist? Name any two leaders of Congress who are known as early nationalists. The period between 1885 to 1907 is known as the period of early nationalists. Two early nationalist leaders are Gopal Krishna Gokhale and Surendranath Banerjee. Second question. Mention two reasons for the early nationalist faith in the British sense of justice. Early nationalists believed that loyalty to the British government was identical with the loyalty to their own people and country. Second, they believed that the continuation of the British connection with India was in the interest of both English and India. Third question. What were the two methods adopted by the early nationalists in the freedom struggle? The methods adopted by the early nationalists, they made use of three P's, that is, petition, prayer, and protest. The second, they passed resolutions in the meetings. Fourth question, what was the belief of the early nationalists regarding the British rule in India? The early nationalists believed that the British rule had many benefits. For example, it aided in cleansing social ills like sati, untouchability, and child marriage. Fifth question. What, according to the early nationalists, was an obstacle in India's progress? What type of self-government did the early nationalists demanded? The early nationalists said that the main obstacle in India's progress was social and economic backwardness of Indians and not the British colonial rule. The early nationalists demanded self-government within the British Empire, like the self-governing colonies of Canada and Australia. Sixth question. State any two issues opposed by the early nationalists in the field of civil liberties. First, the restrictions imposed on the freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Second, Preventive Detention Act. Seventh question. Mention any two demands of the early nationalists that aimed at improving the lot of the peasants. First point. Availability of cheap credit to the peasants through agricultural banks. Second, reduction of land revenue and protection of peasants against the unjust demands of the zamindars. Eighth question, mention any two constitutional demands made by the early nationalists. First one, abolition of India Council. Second, expansion of legislative council and legislative assemblies. Ninth question, name any two economic issues raised by the early nationalists. The two economic issues are an inquiry into India's growing poverty and famines. Second one, development of banking, irrigation, medical and health facilities for the people. 10th question, what did the early nationalists demand for the industrial growth in India? First point, heavy tax should be imposed on imported goods. Second, government should give loans for the development of iron, coal, pepper and sugar industries in India. 11th question, mention any two achievements of the early nationalists. First achievement, early nationalists created national awakening among the people. Second, early nationalists exposed the true nature of the British rule in India. 12th question, mention any two shortcomings of the early nationalists. First one, the early nationalists failed to draw the masses into the mainstream of national movement. Second, they depended on the generosity of the British. 13th question, who is known as India's unofficial ambassador and why? Dadabhai Naoroji was known as the unofficial ambassador of India. During his stay in England, he tried to present the problems of India in front of the British Parliament, thus fighting for the cause of the country. 14th question, who is the author of Poverty and Un-British Rule in India? Name the first Indian who passed the Indian Civil Service examination. The author of the book Poverty and Un-British Rule in India is Dadabhai Naoroji. The first Indian who passed the Indian Civil Service examination is Surendranath Banerjee. 15th question, against which two acts did Surendranath Banerjee start an agitation? The acts are License Act and Vernacular Press Act. 16th question, list briefly any causes that Gopal Krishna Gokhale supported. First point, Gokhale impressed upon the government to reduce the land revenue. Second, he pleaded the British for the abolition of excise duty on cotton goods. Thank you.